Welcome back to another hour of Scotch Hour. I'm Noah.
And I'm Jesse.
All right, this is episode 188. This evening's lineup is the Bruichladdich. I don't want to say Bruichladdich, but I think it's
Bruichladdich
Octomore 14.2. After that, we got our shout-outs and get it togethers, which should be interesting, I would think. Maybe not. Then we have a restaurant review being the Sporty Pickle Bar and Grill. And then our Smarter Challenge was to go see John Wick in the theater for the 10th anniversary and see how it still holds up from when it came out originally. Or just a basic review of John Wick, if you will. I once see him kill a man with a pencil. 3 men with a pencil.
Fucking pencil.
I'm not afraid of the boogeyman. You should be. Anyways.
He's not the boogeyman. He's the one you call to kill the boogeyman.
All right. Thank you to all of you who watch us on YouTube and Rumble. We greatly appreciate all of you and all the new subscribers that we've had recently. So thank you to you people. We greatly appreciate all of you, as well as all the listeners on the very many different podcast platforms. We thank all of you as well for listening to us. We know you have a lot of options, so thank you once again for supporting us. If you do, if this is your first time watching us or listening to us, and you do like our content, please hit that like button, hit the share button. That helps us out, and leave some comments down below. And also subscribe. We are trying to get to at least 500 subscribers. That will help us out a lot. I know currently we're at 110 on YouTube, and I think we're somewhere in the 20s there on Rumble. But any support helps, and we would greatly appreciate that.
Scotch Reviewed.
All right, as mentioned, this week's Scotch, hopefully fit for a king or a John Wick lover at least, the Octomore 14.2. Super heavily peated Scotch from the island of Islay. Oh man, some of our favorite Scotches come from this very island, and this is going to be a treat. I have actually zero doubt about that. We had previously done the 14.1, and the 14.1 is finished a little bit differently. It's actually a little bit higher ABV. This one's sitting at a 57.7. That one was a little bit higher than that. But instead of using first fill bourbon casks to mature the Octomore 14.2, the Bruichladdich has a mix of Oloroso and Amarone casks from both the prestigious areas, of course, of Spain and Italy to age and give it a different flavor profile before finally bringing it all together in French oak casks for that final depth of and complexity of flavors for this. The barley is 100% sourced from the mainland in Scotland, and it is, man, I don't even like the 14.1 was just divine. It was literally just divine. The barley is Concerto barley from the mainland there, and Bruichladdich is one of the few distilleries that's really gone out of their way to try to source all Scottish barley, as well as some of their, as we know, some of their single malts also from the island of Islay, the barley. So great job there. It's going to be fun. 128.9 parts per million, the same parts per million as the 14.1. And man, I don't know if you want to talk anything about tours or just send them back to our previous episode.
Well, they can go to our previous episodes if they like, but that was kind of a little bit of time ago. So real quickly, they are open 7 days a week from 10 a.m. to 17:30, which for us U.S. American folk, that would be 5:30 p.m. They do have basically three types of options here. They have the guided tour, which is a walk around the Victorian distillery where you get to learn about their history, their philosophy, and then you get a tasting at the very end. It's 20 Great British pounds and 1.5 hours is the duration of that tour. Then they have what's called the warehouse tasting. This is a unique opportunity to sample three of their finest expressions from the cask. It includes sample bottles and a glass. It's 45 Great British pounds, and it is also 1.5 hours in the duration of time. However, their ultimate package, which is really the combo of the two, it is the guided tour and the warehouse tasting. That is 2.5 hours long, and it costs 65 Great British pounds. So if you're going to choose one of the three, you might as well just do the double up and get the ultimate package.
They do call this the impossible equation. The 14 series are the ones they bottled in 2023. Here we are in 2024, a year later, and they've actually got the 15 series, the 15.1, the 15.2, and the 15.3 all out. This was first distilled in 2002, the Octomores, bottled typically at 5 years old. And I'm excited. Now, the canisters, as we've seen, all very typically different in color. The bottles, all very similar in that rich, deep, I'm going to say, sexy black. The canister is great, heavy duty. I know that because I dropped one once and all I did was dent the canister a little bit. Thankfully, the bottle, not shy on the pocket, by the way. Many of these approach the $300 mark, $200 to $300 for a bottle. But the canister did help protect the investment. Great foil. And we're about to find out if they stayed true. They did. It's a solid wood top. Now, can you please give us a gift of solid cork? Solid cork. Man, they're doing some things right so far.
Sweet.
I have a feeling, even at 57.7 ABV, this is going to go down way too easy with that nose. Oh.
All right, well, I guess it's time for our tasting notes and the warp speed.
Cheers.
All right, this expression from Bruichladdich, the Octomore 14.2. Very, very great expression by them. I really loved it. I think it's great. Right away, black tie affair, hell yes. Game night, hell no, because I'm too selfish to share it at game night. And plus, with the price point, I wouldn't really want to do that at game night. Intimate setting, like if I'm sharing it with a friend, if they come over or a special occasion, hell yes. Spot on the shelf, you don't even have to ask, but hell yes. Okay, now to jump into it, the presentation, I did give it a 5 out of 5. The tin is what you expect from the Octomore, but the bottle is really what creates it as a 5 because it's classy. I loved it. Basically, the black on black with a little bit of the gold in there. It's sleek, and I'm going to steal a word from Jesse. It is sexy. But yeah, it is, it's, I love like the black on black writing and stuff like that. It's just
badass.
It is a, classy bottle, if you ask me. So yeah, that gets a 5 out of 5. The coloring, I gave that a 5 out of 5. I said it's brass tones with an amber hue. I think it's beautiful. The way it radiates, it almost looks like it might be like, and this makes sense because like the Octomores, if what you said is this is where they use a lot of smoked peat, right? Or there's more peat in parts per million or something goofy like that. But it makes sense because if you think about the coloring of the amber hue, you almost think about like ambers in a campfire or something, and that's kind of like what this color reminds me of as well. So it's just a really beautiful color to a wonderful Scotch. The nose here, I put the nose. It fits with the old world wine style. And when I'm talking about old world wine style, I'm talking about like your classical Bordeaux or your like classical wines out of Italy, where it has like those really nice earth tones. So here I put it has wonderful hints of earth tones, of leather, mild smoked peat, hints of oak, with some red berries and a very mild honey that will make its presence known every once in a while when you get a nice whiff. I really enjoyed the nose here. I gave that a 29 points. It was actually my highest spot. I really did enjoy the nose. The palate here, I put it's a full-bodied palate. It's very creamy, which makes it slightly bit chewy, which I really enjoy because that's like you got yum. Like if you can eat a drink while you're drinking a drink, if you can eat a drink, this is kind of like it, right? It's like it's so like full-bodied and creamy that if it was food, you would want to chew it, but you can't really chew it. But it feels like it could be chewy. But in any case, here I put it has a vanilla and honey tones in there with a salted caramel and chocolate flavor, which then kind of leads into some of the winter spices, which would be nutmeg, ginger, and cinnamon. This really sets up for the finish. And the finish here, I put lots and lots of smoke with hints of dried red berry and caramel sweetness, followed by with hints of ginger and cinnamon. And that caramel, I'm talking about like a salted caramel. I'm not talking like a normal caramel because you get some like nice salt tones in there, and which is why I don't really like. I think some people like might say like it would be kind of more like on like the seaweed side or like a more saline or whatever. But here to me, it's more like a salted caramel rather than more of a like a sea type of salt. But anyways. Loved it. The palate and the finish both gave it a 28. Both of those, so that gives me a grand total of 95 points. Would I recommend it? Hell fucking yeah. If you can find it and it doesn't hurt your pocketbook. And if it does hurt your pocketbook, I'd still say pick it up and save it for a special occasion, which occasionally there's always certain times that you need to celebrate a win in life, and this is a great way to celebrate a win.
All right. Well, much like Noah, I love this presentation by Bruichladdich. The Octomore has done it again. Awesome job. They keep it simple, keep it straightforward, keep it consistent. Great canisters. Great bottle, and as noted, the bottle is sexy. Absolutely something you want to bring out for a special event. The color to me, and presentation if you couldn't tell, is a 5. The color to me, man, this is black gold. This is literally so rich in gold that it almost has that smoky hue, but also you mentioned amber, that red gold. Like this is black gold to me. This is a beautiful color. I love it. I love the way it thickly coats and draws down the glass. It is beautiful. 5 out of 5 for the color. Nose. This is one of the most complex noses we've had on a Scotch, and we've had some phenomenal Scotches. So for me, notes I have here. And I love it because I get leather, and I love me some leather. I really do. It's not super strong leather.
He likes redheads in leather.
I like any colored hair in leather. Floral honey. Oh, that little bit of floral honey, malted barley, and cereal definitely present. the oak, cinnamon, a little bit of green apple, definitely some pepper. Now, here's what I can't tell on the nose is if it's black pepper, but we'll get to when I can tell it's black pepper here shortly. And then it kind of has hints also, particularly in the Glencairn, that green apple along with the smoke and those red berries. And I'm talking like black cherry and blackberry. They are dark red berries. The nose, I gave a 28. I love the nose, but I think it's a 28. The palate, also a 28. Oh, the palate. This is a dangerous Scotch. Because right off the bat, it is sweet and creamy, immediately turns dry, and then there's a couple little waves of that. And in those waves, I get the wood spice, the smoked oak, delicious. I get a little hint of some coffee, just the slightest little hint of some roasted coffee. And then you mentioned salted caramel, absolutely present there. Then it goes back to being sweet again. And it's almost like a sweet barbecue sauce, a hint of sweet barbecue sauce. I know it sounds crazy, but a little bit of like that meat with just a little teeny hint of barbecue sauce. And then the black pepper is there and it's screaming at me. We got some dried fruits. Again, I don't get the blackberry on the palate, but I get the cherry. And again, man, it's great. Those creamy and dry waves with all the flavors in it. 28 on the palate for the finish. Interestingly enough, also a 28. I gave it a 94, 1 point lower than you did. Smoked malt, absolutely present. That still burning campfire oak smell and taste, followed by that caramel sea salt. The earthy smoke just lingers, and then it does kick off a finish along with that earthy smoke and the salt, that little bit of cinnamon, but not in an offensive way. Total 94, black tie, absolutely. Dare you ask? Game night, if it depends on the game and who I'm playing with, and then a space on shelf, yes.
It's time for our shout-outs.
First shout-out. Gotta go give a shout-out. Max Verstappen. Dominating in the wet from a start in 17th place to win the Brazilian Formula One Grand Prix this past week. Awesome drive in a league of his own for this race. And hopefully they really take what they've learned from this race and apply it to those last few of the season. He's still just came back on fire after a poor show for a few races.
Yeah, he really did put on a master class in driving. Like, it showed why he's a world-class driver. That's for sure.
Cha-ching!
So you only get it together?
That's the only going to get it together I'm going to go this week. Otherwise, it'll just be a rabbit hole that never ends.
All right, well, I'll probably go down that rabbit hole.
I figured you would.
Because I am going to give a shout-out to President-elect, second time around, Donald J. Trump, for winning the election last night on Tuesday. We are recording this a couple days later than we normally would, but yeah, congratulations to DJT for that comeback victory. He's the only second president to
go miss a session, come back.
Yeah, I think Grover was the other one.
I believe you're right.
Grover or something like that, or Grover Cleveland. So I know there's a Grover there. I know there's a Cleveland in there.
Grover Cleveland.
Yeah. I had the names.
You got it. It doesn't really matter because depending.
He's dead.
Yeah. Let's go look at his tombstone, see which way they put it on there.
Anyhow, great feat for him. And then, whatever. It was a fun election to watch. All right. Any shout outs or get it togethers? Get it togethers.
Get it together. Okay. So I will say, I thought you were going to go a little bit harder than that, but I will agree 100% with the shout out for winning an election, apparently pissing off half the world, more than half the world, but then appeasing them and coming back after being out of office for 4 years, never giving up, keeping the good fight. Doesn't matter if I want the guy in the office or not. I appreciate the good fight. Like, who else does this? Hillary Clinton didn't do it. She lost and she just disappeared. We'll see if Harris does it. My guess is not. Probably just disappear. But for anyone who puts up the good fight, and that's where my get it together comes in. Yeah. There was a lot of complaining about different things with the last election. Was there fraud involved? Question mark. Was there abuse at the polls involved? Question mark. But it still didn't stop him. And now we have this new group who I have seen videos, and I get it. You're upset, crying. But here's my get it together. Like, don't break. Like, it didn't break the other party. They came back stronger than ever and dominated an election. Again, whether you like it or not, it's sometimes the drivers I hate put on the best damn races. And that's what Trump did this election. He put on a damn good race. And it is impressive. But the get it together goes to any of you guys who, like last time, and I don't know one person who did, even though they all said they were moving to Canada. But unfortunately, they're still here. Like, I was willing to help move them to Canada, but they're still here. So please don't do that. Make a plan. Get it together. Think about how you will react and interact and take action over the next 4 years to have a better outcome per your desire 4 years from now.
Well, my get it together is for all those that are sitting there crying and expressing their total distaste online, you probably shouldn't do that. Because all you are going to do is become a meme, and people you're going to become a mockery of for other people. So really get it together, suck it up, put on your bootstraps. It's not the end of the world. I don't know how some of you guys think like waking up today you're going to become slaves or lose your rights. That is not the case. Tomorrow the sun will rise again. So just, I would just say, don't, I get that people are upset. Some people are ecstatic, maybe like myself. But if you are upset, there's no reason for you to share that online for everyone to mock you or whatever. You probably are best doing that, in the confines of your own home, behind your own doors. So that way, or with, a person that you confide in, but there's no reason to be posting it out onto the interwebs, if you will. It
is interesting. We could have done a whole 3-series podcast just on the different things that are going on here. Everyone was super surprised when Trump won the first time, and they're all saying they're super surprised that he won this time. And
I don't know how they could be surprised that he won this time.
I think it's because they don't understand that the intelligent will sit there and listen to the parades by the other party about how terrible this person is and everything else, and they won't necessarily share their opinions, because guess what? It does no good. It's going to make you cry and go hide in a corner, versus then they show up strong at the polls. Good for them. And I mean that. It doesn't matter which side you're on. Learn something from this. This week's restaurant review, the Sporty Pickle Bar and Grill.
First off, outside of the Sporty Pickle, I gave it six points. It wasn't really well lit, but it also kind of looks like it was like more of a warehouse type of district, which made it kind of weird. But when you walk inside and you see the pickleball courts and stuff like that, it kind of makes sense where it's located, because you do need something that's kind of roomy like that. So I gave the outside a 6, because it could be a little bit more. It could be better lit. As far as the inside, I gave that also a 6. I understand like the kind of setup that they're trying to go for. I think it has a lot of potential, but yet it wasn't exactly, if you're looking for a restaurant, I guess, it's not going to really fit that need. if you're looking to go play pickleball, you want to go like grab a drink afterwards. It's almost kind of like a pickleball courts meet bowling alley that meets like some kind of like I don't know, some other kind, maybe a cafe or something. I don't know. It was kind of a weird fusion type of thing, but it works for it. And I think there's a lot of potential there, but still I only gave it a 6. The food, I did like the food. The food, I gave it an 8. But it also made me realize I'm not the hugest fan of sliders. Like, if I want a burger, I want a burger. I want these like miniature like hamburger things, these sliders, and the fries. I thought the fries were decent. I got the truffle fries. In my opinion, I believe I've had better truffle fries at other locations, or not other locations of that place, but like at different restaurants. But in any case, I gave it an 8 out of 10. Service was horrible. I gave that a 3. The waitress rarely showed up, never checked. I had to wait forever to get a second glass of iced tea, which really didn't happen until we were paying. It was just a total mess. And this is the worst part. There's like nobody there. And she even said that Sunday nights are the slow nights there. So honestly, I have no idea what the hell she was doing. Maybe she was like smoking a bowl in the back or smoking somebody's pole in the back or something. I'm not really sure, but she wasn't being tentful. She wasn't being present for the patrons that were there.
And no matter which of those two she was doing, I don't want her touching my food.
The value, I gave the value a 5. It came out a little bit higher than I thought it would for some reason, because I thought my sliders were 13 and my total bill was like 20 something. So
they probably had one of those goddamn you ate at a pickleball court taxes.
Yeah, like how some restaurants are doing now. They're adding that extra fee or whatever. Maybe that's what it was. I don't know. It just seemed like I seemed a little bit surprised by like what it was from what I expected, but that maybe my numbers were off, so because of math.
All right.
Sorry. I was coughing there.
You're good.
Would I meet a friend there? If I was into pickleball, I probably would. I'm not into pickleball because I never played it, so I'm going to say no currently. Would I take a date there? No, not unless I had any intention of maybe playing pickleball with her, but that's maybe not the pickleball I want to play. Would I... is it a destination spot? Only if you're going to play pickleball. Otherwise, no. So basically right now, because I don't play pickleball, it's going to be no straight across the board. If I had any intention of playing pickleball, then I would say it might be a possibility.
The Sporty Pickle was quite an experience. That's what she said. All right. And a little, we're going to stay focused for 2 minutes here. The exterior, not great, not terrible. Mediocre at best, though. I gave the exterior a 5. Interior, I didn't mind the interior. It had potential, and I'd like to see what it was, how it would buzz if it was actually busy, not on a Sunday night. So the interior, I did give a 7. Service, my experience was not quite as bad as Noah's because I wasn't waiting half the night for a refill. So mine was a little bit better. Still wasn't great, but it's a mid-range restaurant. I probably shouldn't have given her as high as I did, a 6. The food I thought was a 7. Now here's why I thought the food was a 7. I was craving some damn salty fries, and their Parmesan truffle fries hit the spot for me. I did think they were good. Also, I had the Rallying Reuben. This is, you got your corned beef, sauerkraut, melted Swiss, Thousand Island dressing. It really wasn't my favorite, but again, the flavors did mesh well. The little Hawaiian pretzel bun was pretty good. So overall food, I gave a 7. I wasn't feeling it as much that night, but the next day when I really started thinking about it, it was pretty good. The value, though, I'm with you. Like, how did I go from here to here? The value for me was a 5, and the one thing that really drove that score down was the total package for service. And what do you get? I didn't think we were waiting obscenely long, but again, I also was drinking.
You sure you're the one who was yelling in the restaurant?
It wasn't obscenely long, but I also was having different drinks than you were. So that could be the reason. I still had something. Overall, it's a 6. Would I go out of my way to meet a friend there? No. Would I not eat there with a friend? I'd eat there with a friend, but I'm not going out of my way. Same thing with a date. Like if I'm driving by and I want some Parmesan truffle fries, I'll stop and check it out and look at it that way. Destination, absolutely not. Here's the thing. I don't understand pickleball. We got tennis. What's the problem with tennis? You don't like tennis? You don't want such a big court? Play table tennis, ping pong. Why did you have to go with this middle thing with slower paddles and balls? It's really weird to me. I literally don't understand it. It's like
I don't get it either.
So with that, not a destination. All right, this week's Smarter Challenge. I had never seen it in the theater, so our Smarter Challenge was to go see the 10-year anniversary of John Wick on the big screen. And I had a lot of fun.
I did too. This should not be a spoiler for anybody at this point. If you have not seen John Wick at this point, well, that's too bad.
First things, the first question I have, and I'll shoot out my answer at the same time. Having never seen it on the big screen, I didn't think the video quality was as high as the others. However, it was a wonderful experience, especially the first 25 minutes. Seeing all of that on the big screen it had a more dynamic emotional impact on me.
Well, I did see it originally in the theaters. In fact, I saw it twice in the theaters because I really liked it a lot. But to go revisit it after, for the 10th anniversary of it coming out, I honestly, the impression I got from seeing it again in the theaters is that John Wick is really a movie that you probably should watch in the theaters. And I think it held up well over time so far. Over 10 years, it held up fairly well. The fight scenes were still great. The emotional tie to his deceased wife still held up. Even the costumes held up. Like the suits that everyone wore. Like everything it didn't look like it was so far out of place to today's time. So I think that's probably like the two biggest things I really noticed from watching it again in the theater is that A, it held up as far as time goes so far, and B, even if you do have a great sound system and a great TV at home, it is still one of those movies where I think it is best in the theater.
I don't disagree at all. And if you haven't done the math, by the way, that means the original came out in 2014. John Wick 2014. And if you didn't gather this from the little tidbits we've already given you, it's a American neo-noir action film series. It was created by Derek Kolstad. 4 films currently in the series, John Wick 1, 2, 3, 4, a TV series with the Continental. And then next year, who isn't excited for a Ballerina?
Oh, yeah. I think the Ballerina would be a great addition to the storyline because her story is ongoing at the same time as his story is going.
Yeah.
So it'll be interesting to see what part of the timeline it's in because, whatever John Wick is doing, she's also doing it sometime during that time frame. And I'm not really sure if it's before he leaves and gets married to his wife or if it's like after. Because in the interview I saw, it said that for the Ballerina, it's all about her getting into that world, whereas John Wick's movies are all about him getting out of that world. But she does, like in the previews, you do see her running into John Wick, and he makes she basically asks him, like, how do you do it? And he's like, looks like you are already doing it. So I'm just really not quite sure right where they're meeting at and where it happens in his time, but it'll be interesting to see.
I think it is her entering as he's exiting. And I love the scene you're referring to in that. advertisement, because she's sitting there killing people, kicking butt. She meets John Wick. How do I do what you do? And he's like, looks like you already are. Like,
I mean, when you look at like
you're in this.
When you look at his like the way he's dressed and his facial, and because of his current age, it looks like it's as he's trying to get out. But she's like, "Oh, you're Baba Yaga, right?" So I'm not really sure at that point. He's still going by Baba Yaga.
I think he was known as Baba Yaga before he got out.
Exactly. That's why I'm wondering, like, if the ballerina actually happens before him getting out.
I think so. Yeah.
Which would be interesting to see.
Also plays interesting from the time he's out if she'll have additional movies for the time he's out until he comes back.
I think she will have. I think they're going to probably. I'm guessing. This is like I have no insider knowledge here, but my guess is that they will have extra movies with the ballerina.
I love that you brought up the costumes too. So 10 years ago, 2014, suits were going very lean, and yet John Wick still was a little more traditional with cuts. So loosely cut jackets in particular only make sense, right? You got to conceal what you're carrying. But I love the costume, the attire, the international aspect of the movie. Anytime you bring something like that in with the Mission Impossibles, James Bond, John Wick, it's easy to overlook, but the international appeal of the Russians in this first one absolutely helped draw in my interest, because anytime you bring multiple cultures together, it creates a diversity that must be dealt with.
It does. Is there anything else that you really like you want to hit on here? I mean, this is your smart channel, so I'm not sure.
The big one for me is I want you to educate the world as you educated me about the scene at the Red Door, the dance club / bar, when John Wick comes out of the shadows and meets an old friend.
Yeah, I forget what his name is. Do you remember what the guy's name is?
Not at the moment. I'll probably remember when I try.
So anyways, he this is right when he's starting to go into the Russian like nightclub / bathhouse or whatever nationality these people were. But he asked the kind of like the bouncer guy, he goes, "Hey, it looks like you lost weight," and he's like, "Yeah, I lost 60 plus kilograms," and that was actually a code. Saying of how many people were actually inside the bar that was protecting the young son that John Wick was going after. So it was really cool, like how if you weren't paying attention, I guess you just think he was just making a comment to an old friend saying, "Hey, you look good. Looks like you lost weight," but it really wasn't. It was a code, so that way, if he was ever asked by his employer if he helped out John Wick, he could say no.
Yeah, it's Francis. Which also you have to really pay attention to because it's interesting. But after you educated me on that little tidbit, that fun fact, it only made sense. I'm like, yeah, like that guy was already big. If he'd lost 60 kilograms, another 40-ish pounds on top of his current weight, he wouldn't have been mobile.
Right.
So it was absolutely brilliant. It was fun, and I'm sure there's a lot of things I at least still do not know about the hidden things in the movie. But what I do love more than anything is and are the codes that John Wick lives by, Winston Scott lives by, Marcus, who was played by William Dafoe, an old friend. I don't know if they ever really tell you whether or not he was a mentor or just a friend.
I think he was probably a mentor because I don't think you really would go out on a limb to protect, like at least in that world as being assassins, just to protect a friend unless there's like a tighter bond there, like which would be mentor or mentee.
Yeah. But all of the characters in those relationships, absolutely phenomenal. How about for yourself? Anything else you wanted to go over?
Well, some of the things I noticed again watching it on the big screen is that I think they were surprised by how well the first John Wick did because then they started doing John Wick 2, 3, and 4. But I think because they weren't quite sure how well it was going to be received, that you can find a little bit of changes in the lore of the John Wick world, which it's not like huge like changes, but you can tell like they manipulated some things as you go into the second John Wick. Like you didn't really know like the content. Like here, you only think the Continental is just one hotel. Like you didn't know like there's like a series of hotels, and you don't know about the upper table and lower table, or high table, low table. And really, where does Vigo? Is that his name, Vigo, or where does Vigo sit? Is he on the high table or is he on the low table? Because really, with what he's doing, you'd almost assume that he probably would have been on the high table. Which, if he was on the high table, then there's no reason. Then there would be punishment for John Wick trying to go after him to kill him, but there wasn't. So it brings into question, like, where was he on the high table, low table part of that?
It is an interesting question.
And then when he also puts out a hit, when Vigo puts out a hit on John Wick, they never call into the operators.
Well, they definitely advanced their storyline in the details, but I agree with you. I don't think he was ever on the high table. I think he was part of the low table, and the impossible feat John Wick did wasn't to get him on the high table. It was to get him New York.
Yeah, well, if he became the head person in New York, then he would be part of the high table. That's
yeah. Again, though, there's part of it. They all wanted Vigo out of the way in the second one. They don't say that either. Good piece of the storyline, but they're all like drooling to take over his New York territory.
Yeah, they were all drooling too, but it just that you don't really find out because like there was no repercussions to John Wick for that, other than he by going back in, as everyone I kept saying, if you're here at this hotel or if you're here drinking at this bar, you're not visiting. You're actually coming back to this world. And I forget who said it. I think it was probably Winston who said that there'll be repercussions or something like that if you come back into the world, which is what we find out in John Wick 2, because then all of a sudden there's a marker that gets called up, and I think that was John Wick 2.
Well, I think even in the other ones, when he kills other high table representatives, that's not what gets him in trouble. What gets him in trouble is the people who loved those people. The brother now, because the brother's trying to hide the fact that he's the one who had John Wick kill her, is the one who puts the hit on him, not the high table. Like, not the high table as an entity in itself, but an individual.
Yeah, and probably where he screws up in the second one is killing, what's his name, on company grounds or on...
That's exactly what it is when no blood can be shed, no business conducted on company grounds, on continental grounds.
Yeah. So, anyhow, I also want to know what happens to all of his gold coins. Because he had like a ton of gold coins at his house, but he doesn't take all of them with him, obviously.
Well, and I think it's always interesting that he keeps pouring concrete on them. It's like, dude, how many times are you going to bust through that? But I agree, he had plenty of gold coins. Or really, I don't think he was ever worried about it. I believe he thought he was out, and he's like, a handful of these will get me through this next mission. And then as we talk and we go from 1 to 2 to 3 to 4, the only way for this guy to ever find pieces to die.
Or make it look like he died.
Yeah. Maybe he goes and meets the ballerina. She's hot.
She is hot.
Well, that was all I wanted to do for the John Wick. Keep it short, simple, have some great scotch. Enjoy the fact that John Wick 10 years later is better than ever. And that is something I will actually say. There isn't a time I watch it, and I don't watch it a ton, but every 3 to 6 months, and every time I watch it, it is better than the last. Very few movies are that way. I am glad we have John Wick and this franchise.
Me too. I love the franchise. All right, I guess for next week's Smarter Challenge, I'm gonna throw some more TV time on you.
All right.
On the Peacock app, there's a show called Hysteria. So we'll do a review of Hysteria. I think it's only 8 episodes, I believe. If you make it through all 8, great. If you only make it through a couple, then that's fine. But it has Bruce Campbell in it, the guy from Evil Dead who plays Ash. He's actually the sheriff of a town, and it's a horror comedy. It's about I think it takes place in the 80s. And it's about like this high school band who pretends to be Satanist in order to attract
Chicks.
Chicks. And,
Yes.
well, the lead singer is doing it to attract a chick and and also to get his band to get like fans. But yeah, so and remember in the 80s,
Dude.
in the 80s, there was parents were worried about their kids turning into Satanists because of like all the rock bands and stuff like that. So it's kind of, I think it would be a fun watch for us.
It's just hilarious to me. Like, I don't get it, but it's true. And that is 100% true because we remember the freaking 80s. Chicks were all over the weird, gothic, satanic seeming gentlemen, if you will, or dudes, or guys, things, whatever. It was insane. And to this day, I'm like, what the hell is it with people? They're like, this looks really dangerous. I'm in. Like, this is going to piss my parents off. Yeah.
Well, you got to think about it too, though. Like parents went around for us kids in the 80s. For the vast majority.
They were working pretty hard because back then home mortgage interest rates were like 8, 9, 10%. Like people are crying now at 6.5%. Oh, it's been worse.
All right. If you guys made it this far, thank you very much. We greatly appreciate your support. Thank you once again to all the viewers on Rumble and on YouTube, as well as all the many different listeners on the different podcast platforms you can listen to us on. We greatly appreciate all of you. Please like, share, subscribe, and leave some comments down below. With that, that's all I have to say. So I'm going to pass over to Jesse to close this out. And if he wants to, you can tell us what he's laughing about.
I was just thinking about the 80s thing again because I'm like, think about all those crazy guys who are attracted to gothic chicks. Like, makes no sense, right?
You're laughing at us.
All right. Remember, life is great. That does not always mean it's going to be easy. In fact, the harder it is, and there's why, right there. We want to fight. We want to challenge. The harder it is, the more rewarding it'll be at the end. You woke up 3 months after you started dating that gothic chick. You're not dead. You won. So
just be careful. She comes at you like Halloween night.
Yeah.
You're going to be a human sacrifice.
Yeah. Most people break up February 13th, break up with the gothic chick October 30th. Okay. All right. Thank you again. Please do remember, like, share, subscribe. Give us feedback. We will use it. We enjoy it. Give us some great, smarter challenges. We've had a couple ideas that we're getting ready to toil around with some of the participants that were at our F1/Murder Mystery Party podcast episode. So we're looking forward to that. But please continue to give us feedback. And other than that, until next week. Scotchman! Cheers.
We hope you enjoyed this evening's episode of Scotch Hour. If you did, please like, share, and subscribe. Also, if you have not done so already, please become a Patron member, with memberships starting as low as $1 a month. Thank you, and hopefully you have a wonderful evening.